Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of Read That Book in 10 minutes or less. The first one I did, I called it 5 minutes or less, and the video took closer to 10 minutes. So I'm gonna give myself that time. Today we're doing this book. Can you see it? Is it backwards in there? Oh no, that's the mirror I have. This is the Alpha Lipoic Acid Breakthrough by Dr. Burt Berkson with the foreword by Julian Whitaker. Awesome book. All right, let me just go through it for you in the short form. So it starts out with this foreword by Dr. Julian Whitaker, and basically Dr. Julian Whitaker says that he, in short form, he wants to expose the unfortunate and, in his words, almost criminal behavior of the medical doctors. Well, let me start over. He's actually basically saying, in short form, this book exposes the unfortunate and often criminal behaviors of doctors by one of their own. And I think that's important because personally, I have no vendetta against the medical community. The medical community saved my life many years ago, so I owe a great debt to the medical community. I also know what they are really good at and maybe what they aren't so good at, so that's probably what this book points out. And Dr. Burt Berkson and Julian Whitaker, both being doctors, but Dr. Burt Berkson, a medical doctor in the middle of it all, showed kind of a side that can be there, that isn't so pretty. And this is an insider showing a cure for acute liver disease, and he was purposefully ignored by the medical community. But how he chose to ignore some of their mandates and heal people rather than heed his colleagues and his supervisors. So it's a bit of an expose whistleblower type of book, and Julian Whitaker in the foreword lets us know what's coming. So the introduction, Dr. Berkson, he is a self-named, this is what he calls himself, a nonconformist in the allopathic medical community. So he lumps himself in there with the medical community, the allopathic medical community, but he says he's a nonconformist. And in his approaches, he says he chooses to put himself in patient shoes and to think, okay, if I'm the patient, I always want safety, cost effectiveness, and non-invasiveness to be forefront first before going past that. So he tells a story of 4 people in 1977 with acute liver poisoning that he helped using alpha lipoic acid, even though he was ordered by the doctor or the hospital staff who was over him at the time that he was a resident not to treat the patients and just to observe them. He couldn't stand it. He said, basically the Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm, that he was supposed to be healing and helping his patients. So he actually called someone at the NIH because he had heard that there was this substance, alpha lipoic acid, that was really showing some breakthroughs in healing liver disease. They shipped it out to him, and because of this connection, it seems like in this introduction, because of this connection with the NIH, he was spared being completely shunned by being fired and was actually exalted to a higher position for a time until he realized that his drug, alpha lipoic acid, was never going to get approved because it was way too effective. It would essentially put many doctors out of business. So he goes into the story behind this, how he was ignored, but 40 years later, how this very, very powerful and effective natural substance, which has also been patented to be able to be a drug that could have been approved by the FDA, has not been, but it has been back into the research. It's been approved in Europe for a long time, and here it's used as a nutraceutical. So Chapter 1, he talks about this modern world we live in and how toxic of an environment it's in, and that alpha lipoic acid is such a powerful and strong antioxidant. So in a world that's surrounded by toxins where we have these free radicals, that's the primary reason why ALA is so indispensable to proper working of the body. And in children's bodies produce ALA, alpha lipoic acid, on their own in good amounts, but as we age, we produce less and less. But it can heal, prevent, and regenerate even when on death's door. And this has been proven scientifically. He gives some supplement prescriptions, or he uses prescription IV alpha lipoic acid to detoxify. And he goes into a lot of the details of what specifically alpha lipoic acid does in all systems of the body. Chapter 2, he goes into some real detailed biology, nutrition, and supplements, and sums it up in kind of three main points. We live in a toxic environment, 1, that takes a toll on our immune system, and toxic overload means the bad guys start winning. 2, that alpha lipoic acid is a powerful antioxidant that can greatly decrease this toxic load by providing energy to our body cells. And 3, he explains the cells and their function. If you like biology and you like the science of cells, you'd love this chapter. And he says how ALA is mandatory to get glucose into the cells for energy. And we'll come back around to that when we talk a little bit more about blood sugar and diabetes in his later chapters. But that's a good note, is glucose cannot access the mitochondria of the cell without alpha lipoic acid. Okay, mitochondria is a little energy house, production house of a cell, and without ALA, the glucose, which runs the mitochondria, can't even get into the cell. So we need alpha lipoic acid. It crosses that cell membrane. Chapter 3 is about aging. He talks about the different theories on cellular aging, which is really interesting to see how different people view the aging process. He gives what he calls 5 rules for healthy life, which summed up is eat well, good quality and quantities, and supplements, exercise, get enough sleep, limit your exposure to toxins, and relieve stress. He also gives some recommended supplements and kind of goes again into those theories of how people view aging. Very, very interesting chapter. And then chapter 4, free radicals. So he gives us this picture of antioxidants cleaning up these free radicals, their damage and debris that's left behind. And I liken it, I can't remember if he said this or this is a picture I came up in my mind with, what was if you're in a house that produces trash and you take it out every week for your trash collector to pick up, but they don't quite get it all. And every week that excess trash builds up, builds up, builds up. That's a bit of a picture of free radical damage. Over time, we get this excess buildup of debris in our bodies. He goes into some really deep explanations of just different vitamins and what they do in our bodies. Really, I enjoyed that part a lot. He tells why alpha lipoic acid is such a powerful antioxidant. So cleans up all that excess debris and trash that's left there. And I want to read a few of these to you. Because alpha lipoic acid is both water and fat soluble, it aids in every cell and organ. It can pass the blood-brain barrier. It helps recycle vitamin C, E, and glutathione. Glutathione is our body's master antioxidant. It protects skin, DNA, and RNA from damage. It can prevent cancer. It recycles itself. It produces cells to make the glutathione. It protects bone marrow from radiation, restores damaged liver and kidney cells, and chelates heavy metals. Wow. That little dude, alpha lipoic acid, does a whole lot of stuff. Getting pretty interested in it here. Chapter 5 is on cancer. So this is so amazing. We have to remember all of us have cancer cells in our bodies, cells that didn't replicate right or are producing, I'm no expert, so bear with me on this, but are basically not differentiating and producing themselves, replicating themselves over and over and forming masses. So our immune system is what is our best defense against these cancer cells, because when we're healthy and we're not in a state of acute or chronic or active cancer, our body's constantly dealing with taking out the trash of these messed up cells, so to speak. It's when our immune system gets damaged and it's not able to do the job. So we've got that trash collecting around our house, and now no longer are our little helper guys that are coming in to take the extra trash working, and then we start having lumps and piles all over our house of this stinky, nasty trash. Pretty amazing. So his theory is that if we boost our immune system, that's going to be our best defense against cancer, rather than trying to just destroy the cancer. Rather than blowing up the trash, excess trash that's sitting around our house, why don't we hire more guys to come in and clean it out and get a better system so that we can get a flow and get this stuff out. He talks about the importance of alpha lipoic acid along with vitamins A, C, E, also glutathione and the mineral selenium, and how these enhance and work together. Chapter 6 goes into the liver, which is really probably what alpha lipoic acid is best known for, detoxifying the liver. And why is this essential? Because our liver is so essential. He goes into everything the liver does. Again, here's a little mini class on liver health and the biology and systematic function of the liver. I love it because I love that stuff. He talks about how alpha lipoic acid protects the liver from toxins, acts as a powerful antioxidant to help from previous toxin damage, increases again that glutathione, and it gets glucose into the cells for energy to regenerate. He talks about a protocol that you can use to help regenerate livers, and this has been documented. He's got a lot of scientific documentation. This is not an anecdote. He has a clinic. He's treated a lot of people with great success. He goes into some stories of people that were literally on death's door, that were on the transplant list for a liver, that were removed from the list and became healthy and have lived healthy lives well on in their lives, not just for a short term and then they were back on the list, but truly were well. And it's a protocol. He says this isn't just a drug you take. Really, he works with them on a whole body level of exercise, all those 5 things for healthy living. But that alpha lipoic acid is essential to this protocol, that it wouldn't work without the alpha lipoic acid. Chapter 7, he talks about diabetes. I said we'd come back around to this. Well, as we said before, alpha lipoic acid helps get the glucose into the cells. Not only is that amazing because the mitochondria, the little energy powerhouses within those cells, need the glucose to function and to regenerate themselves, but imagine you have excess blood sugar, which is the underlying cause of any form of diabetes, is the body's inability, for whatever purpose, whether you're type 1 or type 2, to not handle glucose in the blood very well. So if alpha lipoic acid is active in your body, getting that blood out of getting the glucose out of your blood, the excess glucose, and into the cells, that's a help in this problem of high blood sugar that your body's not dealing with well. So again, type 1 and type 2 diabetics, for different reasons, do not handle blood sugar well, handle glucose well, with the result of high blood sugar. So we know that high blood sugar damages body tissues, and it produces excess free radicals. Oh, free radicals, alpha lipoic acid to the rescue. So along with diet change, weight loss, exercise, and sometimes drugs, he does say that. He knows how to use these, a protocol where he says sometimes drugs are necessary to get over a hump or to bring about some healing that needs to happen. He recommends they're used in a protocol and not as a Band-Aid and not as something that can fix it. We're never in a depletion or a state where we're lacking a certain drug in our body, but we might be lacking alpha lipoic acid and many other essential vitamins, nutrients, minerals. He recommends going to the National Library of Medicine website, enter lipoic acid in the search, and you'll find tons of studies of successful research. So people out there that are saying, oh, this is just a vitamin. No, there is medical research that this protocol works. He talks about the processes of low-density lipoproteins. We want to drop those down to reduce damage. Alpha lipoic acid helps to drop LDLs. He talks about how we need more glutathione in our body to help to combat diabetes. Alpha lipoic acid raises glutathione. We need to lower the high copper in our bodies needs to come down. Well, alpha lipoic acid chelates, binds to, and gets out of our bodies excess copper. It stimulates I can't read my own writing. Oh, nerve fibers on nerve cells. This is really awesome. It helps glucose enter the cells. We've said that, which is key to diabetes. And it also can help to lessen cataracts and the damage done by cataracts. Remember, it's fat and water soluble, and it can actually chelate heavy metal toxicity, minerals out of your eyes. So cool. All right, we're getting to the end of the book. Chapter 8, he goes into a lot of detail on heart attack, stroke, cardiovascular disease. And I love this because he really gives some detailed information about what's the difference between heart disease, stroke, what actually happens in your body. But he brings it all back around to those nasty free radical guys. So free radical damage precedes plaque, hardening of the arteries, clots, embolisms. All these things are the specifics tied into heart attacks, stroke, and cardiovascular disease. So the key would be if we can neutralize these free radicals, which the damage that the free radicals do, remember, it's a precursor to plaques building up. There's even some theories to the fact that the damage within the cells caused by free radicals is almost like a pothole on a road. And so as the LDL molecules, low-density lipoproteins, which we call bad cholesterol, but they're just delivery trucks bringing cholesterol, which is an essential nutrient to so many functions in our body, but it kind of drops off cholesterol and calcium and deposits to smooth out those potholes. And then we start getting lumps and bumps and collections in the road. Oversimplified, I love oversimplified, right? Helps to understand it. So neutralizing these free radicals is key. Back again to the wonderful effects of alpha lipoic acid being a master antioxidant and also an increaser of glutathione, which is our body's master detoxifier, our free radical scavenger antioxidant. It also recycles E and C, which are antioxidants. and helps to get rid of some of these macrophage or the AGEs, accumulated glycation somethings. Yeah, we don't want those in our body. ALA inhibits lipid oxidation, which that's like rotting fat in our body, and that is also a precursor to these cardiovascular diseases. Bunch of other things it goes into, and really restores our systematic antioxidants defense system, which we must have. Really informative chapter, explains a lot about cholesterol and the misnomers about cholesterol as well. Chapter 9 is his life plan, which I love. As a nutritionist, people will often say, what should I do? And they kind of want you to give them a prescription of what they should eat, when, how, what vitamins they should take. And one of my greatest things I always say is become a student of your own body. And then I can share, hey, this is what I do. Because I've become a student of my own body and I've learned my body. And it might give you a starting point, but can I tell each person exactly what they should do? Or can I prescribe one diet or one plan or one supplement regime for everybody? No, we're all different. So this is pretty cool. Dr. Burt Berkson goes into, and he says that everybody's different. You've got to study, get help, and learn, apply. I also add to this, make mistakes and learn from them, and then make adjustments as you go. But he talks about what he does with his diet, and he gives some specifics about what he eats, what he doesn't eat. He actually gives exactly what he takes for his supplements every day. He tells you the amounts and what he takes. And this is cool. He talks about exercise, and I think it's important to note, and he says this in here, don't overwork yourself. Stress is stress. Over-exercise is stress, and stress produces free radicals, and free radicals produce inflammation and damage. So we need to work out, exercise in a way that alleviates stress, not increases and adds stress to the body, right? So find what works for you. Personally, if you're asking me, I think walking outside, if possible, is one of the best exercises. Swimming, if you can't do weight bearing. And then one of my favorites for toning and stretching is Pilates mat workouts. But hey, that's me. And this is Dr. Burt Berkson. He talks about how important it is to have a bowel movement every single day, which I always say that too. Don't eat in the morning. That's what I do. I don't eat in the morning until I've gone to the bathroom. Sleep and stress and how important that is. And this is pretty cool though. He gave this story about his dad, who was one of those guys that like ate anything. He said one time he was visiting, he saw his dad was up in the middle of the night eating like this greasy sandwich and a whole bag of chips. And he was like, oh my gosh, Dad, what are you doing? And his dad's like, I do this all the time. And Dr. Berkson said, if I ate like that, I would be so sick. He said, that's because you're so stressed out. And he saw in his dad that he was a person that chose to enjoy life, and he had a really great outlook, and he was relaxed. And he actually was a bartender. He worked around secondhand smoke. So his father had like every risk factor for disease, yet he lived a very healthy life into his, I believe, 90 or 91. But what he brought out of this was, could it be even more important than doing all the right things to have a great attitude and to reduce stress? And then kind of brings it together going, then how much better could it be to do both? To have that great attitude and low stress in life and do the health protocols that are best for you. So kind of a cool little story. And then the very last part was this afterword. I thought it was super powerful. Sometimes in books we don't read the foreword or the afterword, or they may not even be in the book. But this was really powerful to me. First of all, he mentions that ALA is a prescription drug in Europe, and it's been very successful. So don't forget, if you live in America, just because it's not approved here doesn't mean that there aren't reasons behind that don't have to do with the efficacy of the drug or the nutraceutical or whatever it might be. Just look into what other countries do. Make your own decisions. Alpha lipoic acid is available to buy as a supplement, so you can use it yourself. So he says that the recent research of alpha lipoic acid has resurfaced, and so this conversation of will it be a prescription drug or will it remain a supplement is on the table. And he kind of gives the pros and cons to both. His biggest thing was, if it were to become a prescription drug, that would be great in the sense that this treatment, rather than some of these other harsh treatments or transplants that are being done, would actually heal people. But his concern was if it were a prescription drug, that it might be taken away from the public via supplements that they could buy over the counter, and then the average person without a prescription might not have access to this wonderful antioxidant. So his hope was that it would, if it was approved as, I need alpha lipoic acid for my brain sometimes, if it was approved as a prescription drug, that it would also remain in a form of a supplement. That's his hope. And while he said he's no longer proud of the medical profession, I thought that was a very powerful statement of coming from a medical doctor, that he used to be proud of this profession, and has said that because it has become a business of codes and insurance and drugs and no doctor-patient relationship, or very minimal doctor-patient relationship, was the reasons why he said he was no longer proud. So if you're a medical doctor or a fan of the medical community, if you could maybe say, hey, how can we become still a business? We have to make money, but that's not hinged on codes and insurance and drugs, and that actually develops a doctor-patient relationship. You might get on Dr. Berkson's good side, and he might be proud of you as a medical doctor or a nurse or someone in this profession. And he's developed a medical practice in Las Cruces. So I love that he didn't just say, hey, I'm out. He said, I'm going to do something different. And he has a practice down there in Las Cruces, New Mexico, that has so much success in treating people with multiple illnesses in a lot of different ways. So he leaves us with this thought: activate your autonomy in your own health care. Study. If you choose to use the medical profession or a book like the Alpha Lipoic Acid Breakthrough or a supplement like Alpha Lipoic Acid, I take it. I have seen great benefits in my own life. Whatever you choose to do, that's the key. It's your health, and you've got to choose. Use and choose wisely. And good health to you. Total thumbs up on this book. I think it's amazing. And it does have a lot of research, and kind of, it's like a little textbook. It goes into a lot of teaching. So if you're not really into the details of the biology and stuff, you could thumb through and just get some of the other things that are a bit more on the practical side. But if you're like me and you want to say, hey, how does it work and why, you'll love this book. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.